Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. Today's episode 3, and I have my good friend with me here, Gatlin McBride. He's a beast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he's actually the owner of Mint Window Washing, which is like probably the top window washing company in Utah. He also owns a carpet cleaning company called Citrus, and for the ladies out there, he's single.
Yeah. Perfect. This is the place for sure. This is a dating channel, right? Let's go.
That's right. Well, so yeah, Gatlin is probably one of the top young entrepreneurs I know in Utah, and yeah, he's gonna share with us some of his story, some of his secrets to success in business and life, and so we're gonna jump right into it.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks for the hype.
Yeah,
It was probably too much. I didn't deserve it, but I'll take it for the ladies. So we're good.
well, sweet man. First things first, Gatlin. Where are you from? Yeah, where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? How are you raised? Just tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I grew up in a small town. It's called Queen Creek. Everyone messes up. Everyone thinks it's called Queens Creek, but it's Queen Creek, Arizona. It's like small farm town. My dad paved. I think we were like one of the first 20 families that were there. He like paved our road, like our dirt road with his tractor. And
Holy
yeah, it was
crap.
pretty nuts. But it's kind of developed into a similar to like a Lehigh now, but it was super small. So it was cool. I grew up small town. Like I had horses, cows, like grew up on 4.5 acres. I don't really have like the crazy entrepreneur story of like coming from nothing. Like I lived like good middle-class family, grew up with 4 brothers, mom and dad. My parents are awesome. Like they did a great job raising us 5 boys, which was nuts. I feel bad for them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we can kind of jump into like, do you want me to get into just like how personal stuff or like my, like what?
So let's see. So you're one of five boys.
Right. Yeah. I'm the second oldest.
Second oldest. What did your dad do for work?
He was a machinist, which sounds like super sexy. So they call him mechanical engineer, but which sounds nuts. But basically he has like, do you know what a lathe is?
Oh yeah,
Lathe are like mills.
Yeah, totally.
Like they like spin.
Yeah,
Basically
yeah.
like what it is like it's a machine. You stick a piece of metal in it, it spins it really fast, and another piece of metal cuts it into what it needs to be cut.
Yeah, totally.
And so like everyone thought my dad was like a scientist, but he was just like it's actually like more blue collar.
Okay.
So he grew up and he did that. So
Heck yeah. And your family still lives out in Arizona?
yeah, same spot, Queen Creek, born and raised, never moved. I mean,
Okay.
we like lost our house in 2008, like just
Dang.
about everyone. And it's like,
Yeah.
so we moved, but like from 0 to I moved here 21.
Okay.
Just grew up in the same city.
Okay. So
So-
you grew up in Arizona,
Mhm.
and yeah, one of 5 brothers, and
fun. Yeah.
small town. What were you like growing up? Like, what was your favorite subject in school? Did you play sports?
Yeah, so in school wise, I was always like the smart kid, which is like funny. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I was like a C and D student, and then
Yeah.
like I graduated and like my entrepreneurial journey started, right?
Okay.
For me, like I was good at school. Like I just
Yeah.
was. Like I grew up, I was in like enhanced learning classes.
Uh-huh.
Like one of my buddies was really smart as well. I was more like leaning towards math though. Like reading, I was dumb. Like I could not read. I don't know why. I was like, I had a 4th grade reading level at like 8th grade.
Really?
But math, I was super smart. So we would
Okay.
like in 3rd grade, my teacher would kick us out
Uh-huh.
and she'd be like, here's the textbooks and like learn it. And so like we like taught ourselves algebra and we were doing like 8th grade math when we were in 3rd grade.
Wow.
So did that. I always had like straight A's. I graduated like top of my class in high school.
Cool.
I was like, I got the 11th spot because if you're in the top 10, there was a possibility that you had to speak at graduation.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, I'll be top, but not that top.
So that was
Like,
planned.
right. It's like I got 11th, which is good.
Cool. Did your parents kind of like push school at you, or was that just something that happened naturally for you?
It was just, I think I was just motivated to do it. It might have been like an insecurity thing growing up, but like all my brothers didn't do super, like they were like pretty normal, but I was always in like my AP, like enhanced class or whatever those things were. It doesn't
Yeah,
even matter
honors.
anymore because I
Yeah.
didn't even go to college. But no, they didn't really push it. My parents were really good at being just like, hey, do your thing.
Uh-huh.
And I think that they just trusted me because they knew I was going to get good grades. So they never like, they're just like,
Handed
you
you
do
on
your
it.
thing. I had like
Okay.
a lot of flexibility when I was growing up.
Okay.
But I mean, I was also the kid that like I had perfect attendance my senior year
Wow.
because I was like so stressed. I thought it was so important, which is school's important, but I thought high school was like if I didn't show up,
Yeah.
I like something bad was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it
Like
looking
you'd be a
back at it
failure
now, and I'm
forever.
like, dude, I could have skipped out
Yeah.
once a week and been fine.
Dude, I went to school like every other day of my senior year, but okay.
I wish I was like that, honestly.
No.
I think it caused a lot of like unneeded stress.
Dude, that's
But-
cool. And then what about sports?
I played sports, but sports were kind of like interesting growing up. So when you're younger and you're like decently athletic, you're the best in like your city leagues.
Yeah.
If you're like okay.
Yeah.
And then you grow up and people start hitting puberty
Uh-huh.
and you start getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like me and my brothers all grew up. We were like
Really
soccer, baseball, basketball, football. We played all the sports. We were super good on our teams. And then come middle school, kids started destroying us. And we're all late bloomers. Like me and my
really?
brothers we hit puberty at like 19.
Oh, gotcha.
So sports were fun, but I played football and basketball in high school. And I quit football sophomore year because I would just get destroyed. I was like 5'5", 150.
Okay.
And I was just getting rocked by these kids.
Wow.
Like no armpit hair,
yeah.
no muscle. Just like I had this thing called Oshkenschladders. If you know what that is?
No.
It's like when you grow too fast or when your body's prepping to grow, your knees, like your patella tendon will like bulge at the front of your knee.
Wow.
And so it's like you can't bend them. And so that happened to me. So I like couldn't walk.
Crap,
like,
dude.
And then I hit puberty
And then
and I went from like 5'5", 150
Yeah.
to like 6'2", 190.
Wow.
Like beginning of
Would've
senior
been
year.
Perfect. Yeah.
So if I would have stayed in football, I would have wrecked.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
that sounds like Uncle Rico. Like I
Yeah,
probably would have still sucked.
No,
but
you would have been better though.
but I stuck with basketball.
Cool.
And so basketball is kind of like that was my sport. I always thought I was gonna be in the NBA and like all that stuff. And
yeah, that was a dream.
then you play someone that's 6'10", D1 athlete, and you're like, yeah,
Not me.
no shot.
Dude, that was me too. Did you work? Did your parents make you have a job growing up?
No, I was always because we were always just playing sports.
Okay.
And so they didn't like force us to have jobs really. And like my parents paid for our sports. Like, I mean, that sounds super entitled, but like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I was always like, I always did want to earn money.
Yeah.
Sorry. My mouth's getting dry.
Yeah, you're good.
I always wanted to earn money. I think I just didn't know how.
Uh-huh.
Like my mom also does her own thing. She sells stuff online.
Okay.
And so like we were always kind of pushed to do our own thing, but I didn't know how. I feel like back then in high school, it's not like it is now where like a bunch of young kids on social media and they're like, you have to make $1 million by the time you're 15 and like all this
Yeah.
crap, right? If you're doing that, awesome. But like, but back then it was like social media didn't exist.
Right.
There wasn't anyone like self-improvement wasn't really like a thing. So I always wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do. So I would just do summer jobs. What my favorite one that I did is actually really fun. Do you know what a hawker is? So those are the guys that, like walk up and down the stands at baseball and football games and they sell like lemonade and like popcorn.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that was my job. I would do it for spring training.
Uh-huh.
And in Arizona, there's a big spring training culture because that's where all of like the teams go for their spring training season
Okay.
for baseball.
Yeah.
And so I would sell these chocolate covered strawberries and bananas on like a kebab. But it was really bad. I don't know if this is like G-rated, but like everyone thought that they were like they thought that they were inappropriate because of the shape. If that makes sense. So everyone thought they were dildos, right?
Oh, really?
So I would freaking walk around with this tray right here, and they're like wiggling on my
Yeah.
tray, and I would get the most inappropriate comments from like grandmas.
Yeah.
And like dudes would like call me over and be like, I'm gonna buy one for my best friend because they thought it was funny because they thought it, anyways.
Yeah.
But it was super good for me because like
Yeah.
it kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone of like I grew up in a bubble.
Yeah.
And so I'm dealing with like these dudes that are just wasted, yelling inappropriate jokes at me, and I'm just like
And you're getting
trying to do
rejected.
my thing, right? Like
Yeah.
getting rejected, right? But it was really cool because I made really good money. Like they would pay me, they would sell them for $7
Uh-huh.
and they would pay me 75 cents each one.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, cool, if I can just wreck at this, I'll make
Yeah.
like decent money.
Make
And
it
then
like 10%.
right. So I'm like, cool, I'll sell like 100 and in 3 hours I'll make $75 and I'm chilling.
Yeah.
But the cool thing that really like worked for me
Uh-huh.
was I would get a ton of tips. So like I'm naturally a flirt.
Yeah.
So I realized like I'm just gonna flirt with drunk old women. And I was like 16, right?
Yeah.
So I would like flirt with these older like drunk women, and they loved it. They would eat it up, and they would give me like $30 tips.
Oh heck yeah.
Or like there would be people at the stands that like they wanted nachos, and they'll be like, I'll buy one of these from you. Here's $50. If you go get nachos, you can keep the change. So I'm like hustling, like running errands for people at the games,
sick.
like flirting with these old ladies, like dealing with these drunk dudes like yelling at me.
Yeah.
But I was making like $250 a night
Wow.
off of my tips.
I bet they loved you.
Oh, it's actually funny. The lady that runs the company, she like texted me like 2 years ago. After we'll jump into this, so like what I do now. But she's like, hey, do you want to come sell? Do you want to come hawk? And I'm like, I'm 23. Like I've been living in another state.
Company.
Like it would have been fun. Like I would have been down. But But anyways, that was like my only job, and I would do it every spring, and I would make like $3,000 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then just like live off of it.
Dude, that's awesome.
So it was pretty dope.
Dude, I didn't know that. That's killer. So you're getting sales experience really early and like some entrepreneur experience at a young age. All right. What about, so did you know, you mentioned you want to go to the NBA, but did you know kind of early on that you wanted, like what you wanted to be when you grew up?
No, again, going back to like when like that age, it was just like doing your own thing wasn't really normal.
Yeah.
Even though my dad ran his own thing, my dad doesn't love what he does.
Okay.
And so he never was like, this is what you should do. And I think with me being the smarter kid, they were always like, oh, he's going to be the one that goes to college. So it was never like, they never pushed doing my own thing. But I just knew I wanted to make money. And like, for example, did you ever have the, like in our 5th grade class, they did no, this was in high school. Yeah, we did a project where it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you'd have to do a report on the career that you wanted to do, right?
I did anesthesiologist.
Okay.
I remember.
So I did, I wanted to be an orthodontist.
Okay.
Because literally I just looked at the list of things that made the most
Top
money.
paying,
and that was one of the top paying things.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do before that was, so there's this gas station in Arizona called QT, Quick Trip. It's like the Maverick of Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
But I was like, I want to own gas stations. Because I know they make tons of money. And then my teacher's like, you're not allowed to do it on that. And I'm like, why not? She's just like, that's not a real job. And I'm like, looking back, I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, cool, I'll be a dentist or orthodontist.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now, I'm like, it'd been so sick to do a report on how to start a franchise.
Right.
So, but I just never did because it wasn't normal, right? Like it just wasn't really, I guess like accepted. Not that it's not accepted, but it's just not what they were looking for.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's interesting because I feel like, and it's not your teacher's fault by any means.
No,
like,
not at all.
That, but like teachers, parents, like all of these people when you're growing up kind of try to protect you almost and like try to tell you like get good grades, go to school, go to college, like go get a secure job 9 to 5, where you kind of have like this entrepreneurship idea. Like owning gas stations would be sweet, and she's like shutting it down because that's not like a risk-free, idea. Does that make sense? And she's like, no, you should be orthodontist, dentist. Like that's way more secure. There's actually clear path to go do something like that. And you're like, no, dude, like I want to do gas stations.
Yeah.
Dude,
I've been rich, dude. I would have made so much money.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so you have like an idea to be an entrepreneur in high school, but they shut it down. So Gatlin graduates from high school. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2015.
Okay, 2015. I was 2017.
Okay. Youngin, dude.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, you too. So you graduate, and what are you thinking? What are your plans?
So the plan was, I grew up LDS. So the plan was like go on a mission. My older brother, growing up in a family of all boys in like the LDS church is we were the golden family for missionaries, right?
Same.
So my older brother had gone, so I always knew I was gonna go.
Okay.
But before there was like this weird, I was the last one to leave. All my friends left, and I'm young, so like I'm a summer birthday.
Okay.
And so I was always like a year younger than everyone else. So all of my friends left, and I couldn't leave until like November.
So the mission age hadn't changed yet.
It did change, but I was just I got my call in July.
Okay.
which was late. Everyone had gotten it like while we were in school, but I didn't even
Gotcha.
turn 18 until June.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and then my call was not to leave till November.
Gotcha. And they had all left that summer.
Right.
Okay.
So I had like some time. So I was working for my dad at his machine shop, which I would do sometimes in the summer. He was paying me $12 an hour under the table. And he was buying me lunch.
Okay, cool.
So, but it was interesting because like when I was in high school, even like when I had graduated, I would just sit, like you sit at this is going back to like what my dad does. It's so boring. That's why my dad doesn't like what he does.
Yeah.
So you literally sit at this machine. There's a door. You open it. You stick a piece of metal and you press this like thing out with your foot and it like clamps it. And then you close it, start, and for 2 minutes you just sit there. 2 minutes, dude. And then the next one's done and you freaking take it out and you put in another one and close it.
Oh,
I think
man,
I made
that drive me crazy.
Dude, I think in the summer I made 50,000 parts of this. Like I'm not exaggerating.
The same thing.
Of the same exact thing every day. And like my only break was like, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, cool, 12 o'clock, we're going to go to lunch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come back and I'm going to leave at 4.
So I'm gonna get like 50 of these done.
So I'm just staring at the clock all day and it would take so long. So I was like, dude, this isn't going to work.
You should have like an audiobook or something in your ear.
Dude, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
I was not into it. I didn't even learn about podcasts or audiobooks until I was 22.
Okay.
So like I didn't even know that was a thing, right? So I was like, I'm going to just start my own thing. Because I'm like $12 an hour. I'm freaking working my life away at my dad's shop, which was kind of like a soft gig.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, if I can't work for my dad, and my dad's like, cool dude, like I really like my dad,
Right.
like how am I gonna work for someone else?
Yeah.
And it was probably an unhealthy way to look at it, but like that's the way that I looked at it and like pushed me to start something.
Cool.
So I saved up my money for, I think I saved up $1,000 to buy a pressure washing trailer because my plan was we had a scout project and we had cleaned trash cans and we cleaned like $5,000 worth of trash cans in like 3 hours. In my head, I'm like, oh, it's so fast. We did it in 3 hours. It was like we had 25 kids doing it.
Right.
But in my head, I'm like, dude, in 3 hours, I can make $5,000.
Yeah.
So like, why don't I just do that? Wasn't realistic. But I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So that was the plan. I'm like, I'm going to start a pressure washing and trash can cleaning company before I leave on my mission. And then I'll give it to my older brother who is going to be coming back. And then I'll like work out a deal with him of being like, and the deal was, this was the deal. It's kind of a stupid deal, but it worked out. If you do 10 grand while I'm gone for 2 years, which I thought 10 grand was so much money, that like we'll go 50-50. So I built this trailer, didn't do a single job. Buy this trailer, and there's like a bunch of crap that went into it. Like I'm trying to manufacture it myself. Like I'm welding it and like to like lift up the trash can so you could like spray it and like it recycles the water and stuff.
I've seen that, Kay.
So I'm like, I'm gonna build one. So I try building it, and then I have this crappy trailer. I'm working on it till like 3 a.m. before I leave on my mission. I left at 6 in the morning.
Wow.
At 3 a.m. I was working on this trailer so I could finish it for my older brder.
To go start this business.
To go start this business that like literally we didn't do a single job yet.
Yeah, I love it.
And I'm like, I'm gonna make $5,000 in 3 hours when I get home from my mission.
Trailer's
in
done.
2 years. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that was like, then I leave for 2 years. I come back. My brother starts messaging me like,
wait, where'd you serve?
I was in Mexico City.
How was that?
You can't get into the mission. Sorry, I won't just brush over it. No. Yeah, I'm glad you're not brushing over because the mission was awesome. Yeah. Like that was, I think the biggest thing from my mission that I learned was just like, well, okay, there's a lot of takeaways that I learned. Yeah. But like in this context was just like, I learned a lot about myself of being a leader. Like the way, and I'm not saying like from like leadership positions or anything like that, but when you get pushed out of your comfort zone of like, you need to be with someone every day, you have the option of I can either be a drag on this person or I can lead this person to be better than they are right now, right? Yeah. And so
it's one or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was like for me, I'm like, I'm gonna be a blessing. And so like I was the kid, like I woke up, I'm like, I'm gonna iron your shirt, I'm gonna make you breakfast, all this stuff. Because like, dude, honestly, life of missionary sucks. Like it's just like you don't understand what you're getting yourself into. I'm so glad I didn't. Everyone should go on a mission that wants to go on a mission. Yeah. But like you just don't realize what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. And so it's so easy to be a drag. And that was one thing that I found out about myself was like, it was very natural for me to be the guy that's like, I'm going to help you out, which I'd never really like done that before. That's ever. Really cool. So it was really cool. And then like, it was cool to be an example to other missionaries because they would like see that our companionships were really good. And they would like ask me about it. And he was just like, dude, just serve.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you got to do.
Ladies, he's single.
Yeah, I'll make you breakfast.
Imagine him
Just
as a
kidding.
husband, right?
It was all a lie. Just kidding.
Dude, that's cool. So you realize like how to make the most of like a hard situation, and like you just made it easier for the person next to you.
Yeah, it's just like 100% optimism. Like I never once, I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, there was this one companion.
Yeah.
Never happened to me.
Yeah.
And I had some companions like it probably should have been like that.
Yeah.
But I was just, I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, they're cool.
Yeah. Dude, that's cool. That's powerful. Cause like you not only like made a hard situation good, but you found the good in all of your companionships.
Right.
And like you didn't let one person like get to you. You just like focused on the good things and like served them so they liked you and you guys just got along. That's really cool.
Yep.
Okay, so what's another takeaway you got from the mission?
Sorry.
So you kind of realized like you like helping people on your mission.
That was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like go into the mission, they think that they're going to like baptize a ton of people, which like some missions they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I'm going to make a huge impact on the people, which is totally real. But my thing was like, I wanted to make an impact on the missionaries just because it was easier for me to relate to them. And so like, that's what I did.
That's
it was
awesome.
just like, be the example. And like, obviously there's the way of like, you have to be connecting with the people and like be a good missionary to be an example.
Yeah.
But like, it sounds bad, but like it was a focus of mine. But like my other focus was other missionaries. I mean, it was easier because they were like my friends. But like, I don't know.
Dude, that's awesome. I feel like so many people like think about the mission as like how many people are they going to bless from being out there?
Right.
Like how many people are they going to teach? How many people are they going to share the gospel with? But you kind of had the attitude of like, hey, I'm going to serve my companions and help the mission be easier for them. And in turn, that will help you the most, like raise your own leadership ability, which is really, really sick.
Right.
And I didn't even go on a mission. So like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure you hear plenty of it living in Utah.
Dude, I love it.
But
okay, so the mission was awesome for you.
I can't answer the other. You asked what was another big takeaway.
Yeah,
I have like a spiritual takeaway that was really cool.
Okay,
and
let's hear
it's
it.
helped me a lot in like just perspective with people.
Uh-huh.
Cool story actually. So there's this guy, his name is Joseph. He was like he's probably like 18 and he kind of came from like he was in a really weird spot like spiritually where like he didn't know if God was good or Satan was good. It's kind of crazy. He had like some crazy experiences where he had like prayed to Satan and he had like had results, right?
Oh,
and so
crap.
he was like, he took that as like a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's not like, then he'd also prayed to God and he'd also received blessings that way. And he didn't know who was like the good guy or the bad guy.
Wow.
So he was like, it could be very confusing. And he was very confused talking to these kids that are his same age, vouching for like God when he's like, dude, like Satan's also done good things for me, which is nuts because like a lot of people think that like Satan's just like gonna destroy your life.
Yeah.
And it's like Satan a lot of times is just gonna give you something that's just not, it's good, but just good enough to keep you from doing the great thing that you're supposed to do. And so I think he was kind of in that rough spot. So anyways, we're preparing these lessons for this guy, trying to like help him choose God over Satan, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in this lesson one time and we're just sitting there and I'm like, I start doubting everything we're teaching.
Uh-huh.
And it was the weird, like I had never doubted. I grew up like LDS.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm very strong in the church. And I was like, these are my beliefs. And like, I know that they help me. So like, I want to help this guy. And I'm like in the middle of the lesson, my companion is speaking and I'm just like, I don't even know if this is true.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if God's real. Like, it was weird.
Like you were having those thoughts or you were saying?
No, I'm having these thoughts,
Okay,
right?
okay.
It's like super, and like, I feel like super clouded and like dark. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting in there and like my companion looks at me if you like, that's just like a thing. Like they look at each other and they're like, you look at him and like you start talking. He like looks at me and I'm just like, nothing. And then, cause I could talk, right? So I'm like, I just kind of blinked and I was just like, dude, this is the weirdest thing. And so my companion kind of like finishes the lesson, is kind of like frustrated with me.
Uh-huh.
And then like we're walking on the lesson, I'm just like, dude, this is so, and I'm like telling my companion, I'm like, dude, I don't know, like,
What happened?
I'm kind of like in a weird headspace right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like praying about it, trying to figure out like, dude, why am I I'm trying to help this kid? Why am I like feeling the same way? And then like it clicked for me. And like, I just heard it, I didn't hear like a voice, but like, this is what I felt. And like the way that I receive inspiration is like, I feel things, but like it's in my head. I don't know. It's really, everyone has it their own way. This is how I like hear it, but I don't hear it. And the thing that I like learned was that the way that I was feeling was exactly the way that he was feeling. Like I understood where he was at.
Yeah.
Like I was confused, as confused as he was.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people, everyone talks about like experiencing the atonement. And a lot of people are like, oh, I need to like bang on my chest, like feel pain and all this stuff.
Right.
Or like go through something hard. But the reality of the atonement was like Christ suffered the atonement so he could feel what we feel. And if you want to experience the atonement, you have to feel what other people feel. And so like a huge power of the atonement is like when there's people struggling, Christ can make you feel exactly the way that they feel because he feels exactly how they feel.
Right.
It's like a superpower, right?
Yeah.
And so like for me, I don't think I really understood empathy until then. Like I was a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I was like kind.
Yeah.
Like I was always smiling, but I never understood what it was like to understand where someone was at. And like knowing exactly how that person felt, it was nuts. And it helped us, like actually helped him, right? I don't even know where he's at anymore. Honestly, like it's probably bad. I should probably know where he's at.
Yeah.
But like I knew for the next couple weeks, like exactly how he felt before I was transferred to actually help him. And it was like mind blowing. It was really cool. So anyways, I don't really share that a lot, but that was kind of like a big spiritual experience where it was just like, I felt not the pain of the atonement, but the empathy of the atonement.
Interesting.
It was cool.
And you were able to connect with him and he could feel you. Did you know that like God was giving you that?
100%.
And like you still knew like God was real and that the church was true.
Oh, I stopped doubting as soon as I understood what it was. As soon as the answer was like, you're feeling what he's feeling,
so
I was like, oh, I'm like, that's what it was. I didn't ever like, I wasn't doubting anymore.
Gotcha.
It was just like, boom, this is what it was. Boom, no more doubt.
That's amazing.
Because I had clarity on like why I was feeling the way that I was feeling.
Wow.
It was cool. So,
dude, I bet that strengthened your testimony.
Oh, 100%. And it's helped a lot. Just like
in life,
like a lot of my friends will, like I have my best friend Gunnar. He's always like, he'll be talking to people and he's like, Gatlin's biggest like flaw is that he is too understanding. And so like if someone's doing something like mean to me, I just automatically assume like if someone crosses me bad, I'm like, they're probably going through something that caused them to act the way that they're acting. I'm not like mad at them. And there's a thing that Alex Hormozy actually says, I'm going to butcher this. But he says that like, you can't be angry at someone if you understand them.
Right.
And that would be like, from that point on my mission forward, like I don't get angry at people. Because I'm just like, they're probably dealing with something. I might not understand what the situation is, but like, they're not a bad person.
Right. That's
so
really
it's like,
cool. Dude, I don't even know what to say after that.
No, you're good.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that got heavy real quick. So
no, that's really cool. I feel like everyone could be better at like showing empathy, feeling empathy for others. And I definitely, that's something that I'm trying to work on right now. But cool. So, okay. So you go to Mexico City, serve there 2 years, your baller companion. Everyone's blessed if they're companions with Gatlin.
I wasn't perfect, right? But like I tried. The intention was there.
Yeah. So you serve a mission, and then while you were gone, did your brother blow up the trash cleaning business?
Something like that. So when my brother got back from his mission, he was actually working in restoration. And restoration, for anyone that's worked in restoration, is intense. So they put you on call a lot of the times because disasters happen. Okay, preface. Restoration is when your house like floods or catches on fire and then people have to go and tear the stuff out so then your house doesn't get worse, right? And then people will come back and rebuild it. So my brother was on like a restoration crew. So that he was on call and he would go in like multiple times, like 3 a.m. He'd have to tear this thing out, work 12 hours, come home, sleep, and then like start work again. Because normally they would start at 8, but also they were on call. So it was like an absolute nightmare. I think he got to a management position within a year and was making like 15 an hour. Which was
not very good.
No.
$3 more than you were before the mission.
And I wasn't paying taxes and my dad was buying me lunch. So,
so
I was like, pick your battles, you know? So he didn't do anything with it while I was gone. And then about like 3 or 4 months before I was home, he starts like messaging me. He'll send me emails. He's like, hey dude, are we like actually doing this? I'm like, yeah dude, of course. And I'm stoked, right? Because like I'm very focused on the mission, but also I'm like, dude, I'm excited to like, well, I was not even excited to be home, but like, it was a cool opportunity. So like, it made me stoked. So I was like, I love emailing him about it. Right. So like 3 or 4 months before I got home, he started doing stuff and he started trying to pressure wash. He actually never got into cleaning trash cans. He started pressure washing people's driveways because it had a pressure washer on the trailer.
Yeah.
And the trailer sucked. Like it was really bad. We never ended up using it. So he just took the pressure washer off and like drove around in his truck and was pressure washing stuff. And so he'd pressure wash people's houses too. And then basically would make their windows super dirty. And so everyone was asking like, hey, can you clean my windows as well?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know how to do that. So he jumps on YouTube, figures out how to clean windows. And then by the time I get back, I'm like, okay, dude, like, what are we doing? And he's like, we clean windows now. And I was like, okay. Like I was clueless, right? So I get home for my mission. I'm home for like a week. And then I'm like, all right, dude, let's take me out.
Yeah.
And so we just start like,
he
just starts teaching me how to clean people's windows. And it was cool.
Dude, wild. Okay, so you get back from your mission and now your brother changed the whole business plan that you had.
Literally trash cans to windows.
To windows. And you guys aren't even like power washing anymore. It's just windows.
No, like literally, I tried to dabble at the beginning. I was like, trash cans are a really good idea. Yeah. So I'm like still kind of messing with the trailer like on the side. Yeah. But it never it's actually
happened.
A good industry now. Like honestly, but like you have to buy a $40,000 truck. Like doing it the way that we were doing it was not the right way.
Yeah.
So it kind of just like flopped. I probably spent another $8,000 trying to build out this trailer. Wasted.
Okay.
And then yeah, it was just like, let's just do windows.
How did that first year go doing windows?
It was good.
Was college ever on your radar?
Not kind of.
Kind of.
When I got home, I had like full rides to places before I had left on my mission, like to ASU.
Okay.
But when I got home, no one in my family had ever gone to college.
Okay.
My dad did like I don't even know if he got his associates, but like he went for a couple semesters.
Okay.
And so I didn't know that you had to like defer.
Okay.
Or anything like that. So I showed up and like had no college money. Oh, like all my offers gone.
Dang.
But I was like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. It wasn't like super.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but what happened in the first year was so like my brother is a very good, like he's very good with people and he's very much like a very good technician. Like he loves like the technical, like super hard worker. We grew up like this, like working with animals and stuff growing up. And like we never hired anyone to do anything. Like my mom was like, we had chores every Saturday. Yeah. It's like we cleaned the windows. We did the yard. We fed the animals. We cleaned the house. We didn't have cleaners at our house or any of that crap. Right.
5 kids. Yeah.
Like she got it for free. Like when you birth 5 boys, it's like you get free labor for the rest of your life. Right.
I'm with you.
So, where was I going with that? My brother's very good at like the physical labor side of it, as well as like talking with people. He's just like a great, very calm communicator.
Yeah.
But he wasn't very good at like the technical back end of the actual business. And so I came home for my mission and I'm like, I'm going to build the business side of it. And you're going to be a really good technician. You can teach me how to be a technician, but like, I'm going to learn how to do like, I want to do the CRM and I want to do the website and I want to do the Facebook ads, not knowing anything. I don't know anything about CRMs or websites or anything, but I'm like, that's what I'll build.
Yeah. Okay.
And so my brother's like, cool, I'm good with that. It was kind of a ripoff for my brother because my brother was doing all of the work at the beginning and doing like all the quotes, all the service. And I would still go out with him to do the service. Yeah. But he was doing all the calls, all the customer service, all the scheduling, everything. And I'm over here like trying to work on a website. Yeah. Like after, and we're working like, we'd wake up at like 7:30, get to our job at 8. We're done by 11:30. Yeah. Like we bust out $400 in a day. And we're like, dude, we're ballers. Yeah. Go to the bank on Friday, count up all of our checks, cash them in. Love it. We made $2,000. We're like, cool, we'll put a third in the business, a third for me and a third for you. Yeah. We're balling. Yeah. No taxes, anything, right? Love it. But like when I would get home, I'm very much like a busybody. And like I couldn't just sit there and be like, oh, cool. Like I'm gonna freeload off my brother. So that's when I was like, cool. I'm gonna learn the back end stuff of like website marketing, kind of stuff like that. I even tried to like start a little door to door part of it. It failed. Okay. But like I was like, I'll get us more work. Yeah. And like I'll build a brand. You do the customer service and like scheduling.
How are you getting clients at the beginning? Door knocking, flyers?
Dude, I don't even know. Okay. I have word of mouth, maybe. Word of mouth. Okay. Like coming back from our mission, my brother just had jobs and I would just show up to him.
Love it.
Like the biggest thing that was actually like this is really good for my brother. Like it was a really good idea. It's like, he's like, I'm going to start putting out yard signs. And he's like, everyone puts like landscaping or like,
I'll buy your car.
Painting,
for
yeah, whatever.
cash.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I want the signs to say dirty windows ?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a stupid idea. And then we did it and it was like pretty good. So like
Got
we
some
got
calls.
some work from that. Which is actually, it was a big strategy for when I moved to Utah actually, was the yard signs, because that was all the marketing that I knew. Yeah, it was just like that, word of mouth. We got like some postcards and we would put postcards out.
Okay.
I would knock a few doors, just
Yeah.
like so bad, but
Just
like
trying a bunch of different things.
just when you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's like you just have to try a bunch of things, and we were just trying whatever we knew, which is like super basic. Like
Okay.
yard signs, postcards,
Yeah.
talk
door
to the
knocking.
neighbors,
Yeah.
ask them if they can post us in like Facebook groups. I didn't even have a Facebook.
Yeah.
So
back
just
then.
like, I don't know.
Heck yeah.
It worked out. It got us like 2 jobs a day.
Yeah.
So it was like not too hard to keep the schedule busy.
And it was Arizona, so you didn't really have to shut down at any point in the year, right? For weather-wise.
No, like there's monsoon season in August,
Okay.
but it wasn't really anything
Crazy.
crazy.
So, so then what brings you to Utah? Because now you're in Utah. So you started that business in Arizona, and then what happened after that first year?
Yeah, so big thing with us, like we wanted to, like as we were with clients, we started realizing that like in the home service industry, there's like a bad rep for home service. Like it just, I mean, you think about home service and you think of like plumber with their butt crack out, smelly van, like just bad.
Yeah.
And so we're like talking to these clients, and the clients are like, this is so cool that you're just like 2 clean cut brothers providing a good service, and like we feel super comfortable with you in our home. And we're like thinking that these are super basic things, right?
Yeah.
We're just like normal dudes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't super normal in the home service industry at all. And we're like, dude, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That like you just have to be a normal good guy and like shower
Yeah.
and like people love it, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I think we're onto something. So we wanted to develop like a brand that kind of reflected that. So we had our first attempt, like we rebranded, and we got like magnets on our truck, and we got our company shirts made, and we're like, this is it.
We made it,
Like we made it. And literally I have a picture of it. It's the funniest thing. It's like a picture of me and my brother in our brand new shirts that we just got with our old logo that's like not even good. And then a magnet on the side truck in the front of his in-laws house, and we're like posted up with like squeegees, and we're like, we've made it, right? But that was like the big vision, was like, we're gonna build a brand that's like a clean, like a brand that represents who we are as people, and then like we're gonna hire people that are like us.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to, and there's nothing wrong with like people that have a different lifestyle, right?
Right.
But when you're in people's home, you have to live your life in a way that people like feel trust, and they want you to like come back, right? So that was my thing, and so we pushed that. And then we started building up the brand. It was working super well, but we got to the point where we probably did in our first year like $100,000. And
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but when you're splitting it with your brother and then giving like a third to the business, it's like I'm making 33, you're making 33, the business is making 33, and then we had to pay. We thought we didn't have to pay taxes, but then we did, and I paid $18,000 in taxes.
Oh shoot!
So I made in a year.
You didn't have a good
do the
accountant.
math,
Yeah.
right? Like I was and I was single living with my parents.
Yeah.
My brother was married with a kid and a mortgage.
Yeah. Crap.
So I was like, dude, like this is awesome, but like this isn't working out for us.
We're not making
So
money.
how about this? I'm like, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to Utah. And I was like, I'm not. Everyone goes to Utah. I'm like, I will not go to Provo because everyone goes to Provo.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to Salt Lake.
Okay.
Right. So different.
U.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go to the U. You can have Mint Arizona because like if you did $100,000, you'd make 60, and then you could like support your family.
Right.
And like in my head, I thought the market was so small. I thought we were like, maybe we can do 150K and then
the
like
next
max
year.
out, right?
Yeah.
Like this isn't it.
Yeah.
But I'll go do Mint Utah, and then I'll just do it like part-time while I'm in school.
Okay.
I wanted to be a venture capitalist.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool. I'm gonna like go study finance at the U. I'm gonna learn about venture capital, and I'm gonna become like a venture capitalist, or like an angel investor.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that takes money to do that, like how much money it takes to do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was the plan.
Love it.
So then move up to Utah in the
How
fall.
old are you at this point?
I was 20. So I'd been home for my mission for 8 months. So I got home in November, started January 1st with my brother.
Okay.
And then by
August.
By August, I was at the U.
Okay.
So we did like $100,000 in like 8 months, which is like honestly is probably pretty good. But in my head, I was like, we're broke.
So you're like 21 at this point.
21, yeah.
Okay. And you're how old now?
I'm 26.
Okay. So 5 years ago.
Yeah, so 5 years
You
ago.
roll into Salt Lake City.
Roll up in my Mazda 3.
Love it.
Black Mazda 3 with 22-inch rims, blacked out. So sick.
Okay.
Got 42 miles to the gallon.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna
Study finance. Yeah.
Yeah, started finance and and the U was cool. Like I joined a frat at the U, really fun. Like my biggest thing with like going, there were other benefits of going to school besides just studying finance. Like one thing, like I grew up in a bubble. Like I born and raised in the same, never had to make new friends because like I was already there. So like everyone moved into my town. And I was already friends with the whole group. So then we would like bring them into the group. I never once had to make new friends since I was like in preschool.
It's uncomfortable.
Like, so comfortable, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna move to Salt Lake, move to U, and I'm gonna force myself to meet a ton of new people. So I get up there, know no one. So I'm going to like the singles wards and like meet a few friends up there, and they're like, dude, you should like join a frat. And I'm like, I'm from Arizona. ASU frats are a little wild.
I've heard.
So I'm like, I don't know if that's my cup of tea. And then I kind of like learned about it, and it's actually like super, super cool. Like they're doing like service projects like once a week, and they do like charity nights where they'll have like poker nights, and you like bring your money and you like buy poker chips, and then they donate it to a cause. But there's like hundreds of kids. And so you're meeting like 50 girls a night. And you're just like, cool. Like you show up to the sorority houses, you're like, freaking, let's go. Right. So it was like, it was a blast. I met a ton of people within like 6 months. And you're talking kids from like, I met kids from like one of the kids I was on the football team that was like from Alabama. I'm meeting kids from like way back east. I'm meeting kids from like different countries. Because they use a commuter city or a commuter school. So like there's a bunch, I don't know what that, I mean,
it's just kind of like a melting pot.
Right. It's literally just like a melting pot of like a bunch of people. And I'd never experienced that. And so it was super cool. I met a ton of cool people.
Loving it.
And it was like, I wasn't loving the school side at all. Like I hated the school part. It was really hard for me actually.
The social scene was
awesome. And it really like pushed myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. So, but then I'm studying at the U. I'm like sitting in my, this is where like it all ended for me. Right. So I'm like,
love it.
I'm making probably like any day that we're cleaning windows, I get up here, I have no work. And then like within 6 months or not 6 months, it was like 3 months before the winter. So August, September, October. So it's like October. Before, well, I guess I'm skipping a part. So I show up, Mint does pretty well. But then winter hits and we don't have winter in Arizona. It doesn't exist. So I'm like, crap, now I don't have any money. So I'd made like $5,000. I'm like, cool, this is gonna get me through the winter. I'm in my last semester of school, fine, right? I get into my next semester, first week, it's like, it was springtime sometime. I have like $0 in my bank account. I'm like going to this, what was my class? It was a business stats class. And first day, the teacher's like, all right, today we're gonna learn about mean, median, and mode. And I like look at the kid next to me, I'm like, dude, didn't we learn this in like 3rd grade? And he's like, yeah, but this is like applies to business. I'm like, well, no shiz, dude. Like, of course they're going to try to apply all this to business, but like, we're talking mean, median, and mode. Like, this is crazy. So it was like, and I was already fed up with like multiple things from school. Like, it was
going
hard.
To generals.
So I was just like, dude, that's the last straw for me. So I literally just walked out of my class and I called my mom and I'm like, hey mom, I think I'm done with school. And she's like, really? And she's like, you hear she's a little disappointed because I was the one that grew up like the smart one in my family that like had good grades.
That actually tried college.
So they were like, oh, he's gonna be the one that graduates, right? So she's like a little bit sad, but she's like, okay, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm gonna make Mint work. And she's like, all right. And my parents are very supportive. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, do it. And like, let's see. And I was like, all right, let's go. And then that's when like I went into Mint full time. So like that spring was like lasted 1 semester at the U, and then it's like boom, spring of 2020, I don't even know what, 2019, I think. Was like, all right, it's go time. Like, this is all I'm doing.
Wow.
So,
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun.
Dude, it's funny because you mentioned like the last straw for you, college, like after you had done 1 semester, you were in your 2nd. But dude, I remember sitting in biology class, 3rd day at UVU, and they're talking about the mitochondria of the cell. And I'm like, I am never gonna use this again. Why would I spend my time, my money, and my mental energy? And same thing. I was like, I'm out forever. Dude, it's so cool. Okay, so you're all into Mint, and your brother's still kind of running things in Arizona. And this is like what, April?
So we're in like March now.
March. Yeah. Okay, so March, and now you're like full throttle Mint. At that point, like, did you have employees that fall semester or not really? You were just kind of doing jobs yourself and doing everything yourself?
So I hired a part-time kid that was in my frat. His name was Lakin. He's such a stud.
Yeah.
But he was like my first employee.
And then you had to lay him off for winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we have no work.
Yeah.
So lay him off for winter. Yeah, and then we come back in the spring. I actually ended up moving. I was actually gonna do summer sales.
Oh, really?
So I ended up moving because I dropped out of school. Was like, I'm gonna do summer sales. So I'm gonna move to Orem or Provo, wherever we were.
The capital of summer sales.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna do Mint for like a couple months. Go do summer sales. My goal was to make 80 grand
doing
in a
pest
summer.
or what?
Doing pest. Yeah, I was gonna sign with Aptiv.
Yeah.
And then they like ran me through numbers, and like to make 80 grand, you have to sell 400 accounts,
Which is a crap ton. Yeah.
but like me being me, I'm like
I'll do
easy.
it. Yeah.
Like 400 accounts, like you don't even know who I am. I own my own business.
Yeah.
That does $30,000 a year.
Love it.
So I'm like, dude, 400 accounts. Like if I sold 400 accounts for myself, I did the math, I'd make 200 grand.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I love you guys, but like I'm just gonna have to work on my own thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but there's like a lot of power and commitment. Also, like they wanted to keep me, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, dude, I'm just gonna be committed to my own thing. And
So that just got you more excited about
right. So bailed on it, and I'm like, dude, I think that was the first time that like I started thinking a little bit bigger. I was like, dude, 400 accounts. Like I could sell 400. I never ended up selling like door to door for myself. I did like a few days.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I could bring on 400 accounts, that's 200 grand. Like that's real money.
And revenue for you.
Yeah. Well, but I was at the time, it was like I had employees, but like I was running 80% profit margins.
Right. Really good.
Yeah. I'm paying kids $15 an hour to clean windows. It's like,
yeah.
So that was the plan. Ended up not working out, but it got me down to Provo, which was really good because that's where all my friends were at. And so that's where I started hiring a bunch of my friends from Arizona that had moved to Utah. And I would just hire them.
Going to school at UVU and BYU. Okay.
So I like reconnected with a bunch of my friends that were down there. I was like, didn't even know any of them were there when I was at the U, which is like, it's literally 45 minutes away. But anyways, so I moved down there, reconnected with a bunch of my friends, and I start hiring them as part-time guys when they were going to college. And I would get them, like they all had sedans, like cars. And I had my Mazda 3. I literally had just bought a truck. But what I'd figured out that I was like, if you put a ski rack on top of your car, you put a ladder, and then you put you fold down the seats, you can keep all the window cleaning stuff. You don't even need company cars, which you should. But this is I was like trying to be lean, right?
Yeah.
So I hired all these guys part-time. I'd buy them ski racks and get them all their equipment, just load up their car with stuff. And then I'd be like, you have class till 3, you have a job at 3. And I would just throw it on their schedule.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I have class from like 9 to 11. And then I start class again at 3. I'm like, cool, 11 to 3, jobs. Right? So, and that was that whole first year. Like they're running out of their own cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even think I have insurance.
Yeah.
It's probably really bad. But like don't have insurance. I like train up my buddies, and like training program is nothing. I'm like with them for like 3 jobs. It's probably really bad. The quality probably wasn't great. But like, I think we scaled up to like 4 part-time guys, and then me, I'm just working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like I'm cleaning windows, and then as soon as job's done, I'm putting out yard signs, I'm doing Facebook ads, I'm giving quotes, all this, like calling clients. Like I'm literally working from like here in Utah, it gets dark in the summer at like 9. And like I remember multiple days I get home, I'm like, dude, it's like 5 o'clock. When we go home, I look at it, it's like 8:30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, dang, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the cool thing was like for the first time in my life, I realized that, like when I was working at my dad's shop, I was constantly looking at the clock, but like I didn't care what time it was anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was working for like, how much money can I make in a day?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, cool, if I work 8 hours today, I'm going to make $80.
Right.
It was like, I have $1,100 on my schedule today, and I can bust it out in as much time as I want, but I'm going to try to get it done as fast as possible.
Right.
So like there was a switch from like, it's not hourly anymore.
Yeah.
It's like I'm building something.
Right.
And that was like the switch.
And you can control it a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
So that's where it got kind of cool that first year. And then
you probably profited more than 12 grand after taxes.
Be honest, I don't even know how much money I made.
Really?
Because I think I ended up paying that year. I think I paid like 8 grand in taxes. So I think this was a big learning thing for me.
Yeah.
So I was so in the business, like cleaning windows, getting quotes, all this stuff. I literally couldn't tell you if we collected all the money.
Yeah.
I'm like, we probably collected half of it because our guys were supposed to send invoices.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have a way of tracking if they were getting paid.
Oh, wow.
So like we're just grinding.
Some people just got free window washing.
I guarantee you half the people that we did that year got free window cleaning.
Wow.
And because I didn't have a lot of money, I paid myself up until last year. I paid myself 10 grand a year for 4 years.
Okay.
And so like I probably could pay myself more that year.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much money we made.
Wow.
I literally can't tell you how much money we made that year.
Yeah.
just because we didn't have the systems in place. So we were grinding, but like we weren't making, I mean, I'm sure we were making okay money, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Dang, dude. Okay, so that's year 2 business.
So that's year 2.
And
Yeah.
then, dude, and now you're in year what?
And we're in I guess we're going into year 6.
Year
So-
6. And, okay, so what lessons did you learn that first year? Like, what changes did you make from year 1 to year 2 to well, you talked about year 1 in Arizona, year 2, but what about year 2 here in Utah to year 3?
So year 2 to year 3.
Or year 2 to year even where you're at now?
No, you're good. I think that there's like a lesson, kind of like one lesson that we focused on every year
Yeah.
until like now.
Yeah.
So that first year was just like, send it.
Yeah.
Like literally it was just like work hard, do whatever you like, just try to do whatever you can.
Yeah.
Right. The second year, I realized that like I didn't like managing the technician side at all.
Huh.
Like, I loved the marketing and branding side and
Yeah.
like the system side. Like I loved the CRM and like
Mhm.
I loved thinking of like ways to make the client experience better. And I was like, man, I don't want to manage the technicians. I know it's super important, but like I'm not that guy. Like my brain just doesn't work that way.
Mm.
So it actually worked out super well. My buddy that I grew up with, one of my buddies in high school, had moved to Utah, got married, and he was working for a cleaning company that cleaned windows. They were doing construction cleaning and they would like sub some work out to us. And then he hit me up in like winter because he had let go. This was like right during COVID. They let him go because they were going on business. He's like, hey, do you have any window cleaning jobs for me? And I'm like, dude, it's winter. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, but I have a plan.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's go have lunch at Costa Vida. So we go to Costa Vida at the point of the mountain and I pitch him on this grand vision of like, I'm like, dude, I know we just started in Utah, but like I had this vision in Arizona of like, we're going to build an awesome brand. We're going to get wrapped trucks. We're going to have super clean technicians and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You have experience managing people. He's managing subcontractors.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want you to manage it. I'll get us the work.
Wow.
So, and he's like, I mean, I probably didn't take a whole lot of selling because he didn't have a job,
Yeah.
but he's a stud.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So from there, that first year we scaled, and that was when like I really learned business. Like that was, I was actually practicing business stuff. So that's when I learned how to build a brand. We were reaching out to influencers. So I learned how to like develop relationships with influencers, do cold outreach over Instagram DMs. I built our website to where you could buy window cleaning online. It would give you a self quote. Like I built it out. So like I learned how to like code on the back end of our website.
It's money.
It's sick. I mean, we're actually moving away from it now, but we can, anyways, that's a whole nother learning. But like, figured out the website, figured out like automations with Zapier, how like if people booked on the website, then I could send them an auto text and then like I don't even have to text them, right? So there's like so many things that we were building. And it was really cool because we actually started to build like a legit brand. Like people actually started knowing who we were. And so I was like, this is working. Like our brand that is like of our 2 mint green wrapped trucks that stand out on the freeway, like it works. Like people know who we are. Like I'd have multiple people be like, I've seen your trucks around.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was like,
Dude,
they just
I had
felt
seen
bad.
your trucks before I met you. So yeah.
This is working, right?
Like seriously. So yeah.
That's cool. So that's the thing, like they were standing out. I'm like, cool, we're onto something.
Yeah.
And so we scaled from that first year, we scaled from me and Ian, him managing, and I'm just doing all the sales, all the calls, all the back end, everything.
Yeah.
We got to I think 2 trucks and 3 employees that first year. And then we got to the end of that year and it was just like, all right, we figured this out. But one thing that I hated was like, I hate hiring. I'm like, dude, because we had gone through like more than
Lots of
like,
turnover.
Yeah, we had 3 technicians for the whole year, but it was like constant
new ones,
churn,
training,
right?
Yeah.
Like always, I'm like, dude, this is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool. We learned how to build a brand. We learned how to get jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm booking like next day.
Yeah.
So we're talking like I get the jobs for Ian, so he can pay it for his mortgage and his wife.
Yeah.
Like I'm booking jobs at 4 o'clock for the next day.
Yeah.
And then wake up the next day, I have to fill the schedule again.
Right.
Because like if not, he doesn't have work and he can't pay his mortgage.
Right.
So it's like tough. But we kept running into like the people issue because like we'd hire someone and I'd be like, cool, now I need to book more work.
Right.
And then we'd lose someone and then I would spend all my time trying to find another person.
Yes.
And then I can't get him any work.
Right.
And then we'd hire someone and then I have to get more work. It was just like
just a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that year we were like, dude, we have to like, I mean, it worked out. Most people probably would have been like, oh, I'm going to learn how to like hire people. For me, I'm like, I don't want to learn that. I'm like a marketer.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, I'm going to find someone that I want to partner with that like can build teams. And so anyways, that takes us into the next year where I actually partnered with one of my business partners, Gavin.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a big Qualtrics guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he would like manage like big teams. And it was funny because he started off as a client. And he just really liked me. And then like 1 year, like something happened on his house. We were doing his Christmas lights and like a light burned out. And I like went to his house and I was like fixing it. And he's like, oh, cool. The owner came and like was fixing it. And he's just like chilling in his driveway. I'm on his roof. And he's just like, so what's like your plan, dude?
Yeah.
And I'm like, funny you should ask.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, I end up, because
you had the idea of hiring him already.
I knew what he did.
Okay.
And I was like, from the moment that I saw him, he was just one of those people that like he was like, he's just a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you just like look at someone and you like talk to him for 5 minutes and you're like, you're who I want to be.
Yeah.
And he was one of the few people that like I met him and I was like, dude, I'm like, I want to grab lunch with you because like, I think you're a great example. Like I want my life to be like yours.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, it's not me. It's all my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, exactly. I'm like, you literally just proved my point.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, you're the dude.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were homies and then I was fixing his Christmas lights like a year later. And then we were just like talking about everything and I give him this grand vision. At this point, the vision had developed into like, I want to have multiple service companies that have like cool brands, right? Yeah. So I'm going to start a carpet cleaning company and like pest control company and all this stuff. And he was like, all right, let's do it. And so I was like, okay. So I was like, here's the thing. I can't afford to pay you.
Yeah.
Because we literally did, I think that year with Ian, we did like $230K.
Okay.
And we invested all the profits. We were buying trucks cash because we had no money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, cool. I have no money to pay you, but like you can work for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll tell you what, Gat. Here's the thing. He's like, I know it's hard to like give up a part of your business and I know you're not where you need to be.
Yeah.
But I'll do some work for free for the next couple months just so you see what I can add value in.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about it from there.
Yeah.
And then we were scared at this time we were going into Christmas lights and he hired 7 Christmas light guys in a week. And I was like, yeah, that worked. Yeah. I was like, I couldn't do that. I literally couldn't do that for a whole year.
Dang.
And he just hired like 7 people in a week.
Wow.
And it's like, all right, cool. Let's figure this out. And then it went into, I mean, there's a lot to the story. So I'm trying to figure out how much you want me to talk about it, but
no, that's awesome. So you brought in, dude, what I've recognized on your entrepreneur journey is like, you've figured out, like you've learned lessons and you've taken time to like analyze, like what do you like doing in the business? What do you not like? What are like mediocre things? And you tried to like learn all parts, but then sub or like delegate the parts you didn't like as fast as you could.
Yep, exactly.
And not only like the parts you didn't like, but the parts that you maybe felt like you weren't the best at.
Yep.
Like super smart, really cool that you did that. So like you figured out you didn't like managing technicians, so you sub that out. And then you figure out you don't like all the churning on the employees. So you're like, I need to find somebody that can like run that whole side and the recruiting side. So like you figure that out. And now you're like, I just want to focus on the marketing piece and like the brand building and like the fun stuff for you, which maybe isn't fun for everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So cool. So you partner with him and how do things go with that? So now that's another piece that you don't have to worry about.
So then that's when like things finally start taking off and like it actually felt like business. To your point of like finding people to fill different spots, for me, my biggest thing that I always felt that I didn't realize that I felt was that business was extremely lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like the whole weight of the world was on my shoulders and it like kept me from hitting when I like the goals I wanted to hit. Like, I don't know if it was subconscious or what, but like I couldn't break past a certain barrier because I was just like by myself. Even though I was with Ian, I was very like not detached because we were working together, but like our roles were so separate. And I was like, all you have to do is get the work done. Yeah. And I have to do all of this other stuff. Yeah. And like, you just don't get it. Yeah. Even right. Like it was very selfish of me, but like as soon as we brought Gavin on, I think it was the first time that I was like, I'm not in this by myself anymore. Yeah. From like the business side of it. Cause like Ian took, if you knew Ian, Ian is a dog and he runs our entire business. So like, I'm not discounting that at all, but like from my side of the business, I still felt alone. And that was the first time that I was like, it's not just on me. Yeah. Cause like, dude, business is a lonely road. Yeah, it is. Sometimes when you're waking up at 6:30 and you're doing calls until, or not calls, I guess I'm doing texts and emails, right?
Yeah.
Until 8 o'clock. And then you're working the entire day, and then you get home, and then you still have no social life, and you sacrifice your entire social life to like run your business. You have no friends.
Yeah, and then on top of that, no one's like congratulating you or encouraging you.
Like everyone's just like, oh, cool, Gatlin, you have a window cleaning business? Cool,
Yeah.
I did that when I got out of high school too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just don't get it, right? And so it's like, it was very hard for someone to relate, but that was the first time that I was like, cool, partnership is the key to business. Like if you don't have partners, maybe you're just more qualified than I am, right?
Yeah.
But like if you don't have partners, it might be awesome. You might get to the top by yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to take longer and it's going to be way lonelier.
Right.
And so like if you bring people on, it's like you should go way faster if you bring on the right partners.
Yeah.
But like I think a part of the speed of like why it actually speeds up is because the weight isn't on your shoulders anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just like the stress goes away. Not all the way, but like a lot.
Yeah. It helped, like other people just helped bear the burden.
Right. Exactly.
And like was actually recognizing the work you were putting in.
Yeah.
Because I totally get that. Like day in, day out, you're busting your butt and nobody even sees what you're doing or can relate, you know? Okay, so that's really cool. Where is Mint at today, and like what are your like big goals?
So this past year we just finished up the year. Was it January? So last year we actually started, so we have Mint, which is our window cleaning company. We started a company called Citrus last year, which is our carpet cleaning company.
Right.
So Mint was actually able to break 1.6 mil.
Wow.
And then Citrus did about 450K.
So sick.
We broke 2 million, which is like it's not really that big, but it's cool because we can say that we own a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
It's not $1 million business anymore.
Dude, that's
which is cool.
Awesome. That's really cool.
But yeah, and then what are our goals?
Yeah.
So goals. I'll give you like a focus first.
Okay.
So like one thing that I learned this past year, starting another thing, because my original vision was like I wanted to have 5 companies all in the same market, right? What I learned was it's way easier to start a single company and focus on that and branch out into other markets than it is to try to start multiple companies in the same market. Don't get me wrong. I'm super glad that we started Citrus. Citrus carpet cleaning is awesome. And like profit margins are a little bit better. It's a little bit interesting of a business model, but I'm super glad that we started it because it gave me the perspective of like, you should just focus on one thing. I have to focus on the 2 things now, and I have really good partners to where I don't have to do as much.
Right.
But I'm like, cool. Now we are not starting other companies anymore. We are starting Mint and Citrus, and we're going to get into other locations.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest focus this year. So, like long-term goal, like by 2027, kind of crazy goal, but we want to do 50 million in rev by 2027, which would mean 25 Mint and Citrus.
Right.
So what it takes is it's going to take 8 locations doing $3 million each.
Yeah.
We're at, 10 trucks for Mint.
Yeah.
10 technicians, 2 vans.
Yeah.
And 2 vans and 2 technicians for Citrus.
Yeah.
Dude, like it's going to take 125 technicians per company.
Yeah.
So you're talking 150 technicians, 150 trucks in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is we've gotten our systems in place. Now it's a people game.
Yeah.
Like literally like our systems are locked.
Yeah.
Like marketing systems locked, CRM locked.
Yeah.
Phone systems locked, training system locked. But now it's like
duplicating.
How do we it's not even duplicating so easy.
Yeah.
Duplicating systems is a joke.
Yeah.
Building people is where the game is at.
Yeah.
And so it's like now we're in a position, it's like, cool, we have all the systems that we need.
Right.
And the bottleneck now is people.
Right.
So how do we build a company to 250 employees, technicians? You're probably talking 300 employees in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And so now like my focus is just like, how do you build people?
Yeah.
Which is a fun spot to be in because I feel like I've sacrificed the past 5 years of my life building systems when like my actual passion is like marketing and people.
Yeah.
So now it's like, cool.
Dude,
it's go time now.
Dude, that's so interesting that like, dude, that's like my main goal right now is like building people. Like, I feel like, because the better people that you have around you or the better you inspire people to be their best selves, the better off they are themselves and you are as a business owner or leader.
Right.
That's so interesting.
The hard thing with people is like, there's 2 ways that you can scale is through people and through systems.
Right.
But a lot of times, like, your people can only scale as well as your systems allow.
Right.
And so, for example, when we had a secretary, our secretary, the first time I got a secretary, I was like, cool, I'm going to give her everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to do all the sales, you're going to do all the quotes, you're going to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew how to do everything because I was the business owner. She had no idea how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so for her to do as much as it was for me to do, like if she had 8 hours and I had 8 hours,
Yeah.
it would take me 8 hours to do everything. It would take her 24 hours.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? Because my systems sucked because
Right.
I was the system.
Right.
So if you want to get to a point where you want to scale through people, which like you always should focus on people,
Right.
you have to build your systems up enough to empower your people to be able to scale.
Yeah.
If your systems are inhibiting your people to grow, like you need to probably dial back and focus on your systems a little bit more.
Dude, really, really good point. One thing that I've seen from your story is like you've consistently, when you've leveled up your business, you've like added more people that you spend more time with to like level up, right? And like the title of this podcast is Proximity is Power. And what that means is basically like you truly become the average of the 5 people you hang out with. You get their ideas, their thoughts, you eat what they eat, read what they read, watch what they watch. And like it's so important to surround yourself with great people because that's like the trajectory that you're on.
Right.
So how has like certain relationships or people in your life like affected who Gatlin McBride is today?
That's a good question. So this is actually something that I learned recently, like to your point of like proximity is power and the people, what is it? The 5 people that you surround yourself with are the
the average of.
Right.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Become the average of the 5 people that you spend most time with.
Uh-huh.
I always thought that like I wanted to surround myself with people that were the same as me,
Yeah.
which is better.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the same thing with business partnerships. It's the same thing with friendships. It's like you don't have to surround yourself with people that have the same skill set as you.
Yeah.
Because then there's no point of both of you having the same skill set.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that.
So in partnerships and friendships, everything, like I feel like a lot of people try to surround themselves with like friends that are like, I have big financial goals.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've tried to surround myself with friends that have big goals in different things.
Huh.
Like actually in my friend group, I might have like 1 or 2 friends that like do want to achieve big things financially.
Yeah,
but
me
I
and
actually
you.
probably have, yeah, exactly. But I probably have bigger, no, just kidding. But I'm like one of the higher achievers financially in my friend group. But
Interesting.
one of my best friends is an amazing relationship builder.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is so emotionally mature and
Yeah.
he's so good. Like his superpower is like he can show up into a room
Uh-huh.
and like become friends with anyone. And they think
Yeah.
that they're his best friend.
Yeah. That's
Little do they
good.
know I'm his best friend. No,
Yeah.
you know, but like he's super good at building friendships. I have
Yeah.
another friend that is super healthy.
Yeah.
Like he has been doing fitness for 15 years.
Yeah.
He gets his like blood work done.
Yeah.
He gets like, he is like a gymnast and he can like do handstand push-ups in the, like he's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I have another buddy that's starting a YouTube channel and he's like into like off-roading Jeeps and stuff like that.
Like, yeah.
And so like I've tried to surround myself with friends that have different skill sets
Yeah.
that are all trying to achieve big things in their life, but in a different way than I am.
Cool.
Because if we're all just trying to do the same thing, like what's the point?
Yeah.
It might help, but like
Totally.
I feel like I wouldn't be very well rounded.
Love
And
that.
the same thing carries over to my business partners.
Yeah.
Like all my business partners have different skill sets
Yeah.
and we all want to be high achievers in the avenue that we are, like
Yeah.
that we're in, but like we have to live to where we stand.
Hmm.
And so like Gavin is super good with people and building teams. Ian is super good at managing people and being an example for the technicians.
Yeah.
I'm the marketing guy and I'm
Yeah.
the systems guy. So that's where
Yeah.
I stand.
Yeah.
We all have the same vision,
Yeah.
but like our skill sets are very different. And I think it provides a lot more value than like having a bunch of friends that do the
Carbon
exact
copies.
same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, love that, man. Well, honestly, I wish this podcast was 3 hours because we have so much more, like so many more things I want to ask you about, but we'll have to have you back on.
You're good next time. Now people know my story, so then we can get tactical after
Dude,
that.
yeah. Dude, awesome. So to wrap things up, like I want to thank Gatlin again, but if you guys got the value from this episode, like smash the like button, subscribe.
Come on.
Put in the comments. You can follow Gatlin on Instagram. Also, like send Mint Business, like they do Christmas lights. They're
At dirty.mint. Come on now.
dirty.mint.com. And yeah, so thanks again for watching. Share this episode with somebody that you think would benefit. But until next time, peace.
Peace.